Stop scrolling for just a second, because this is not just another headline. This is about you, your family, and what happens at the end of the month when the bills are due and the money feels like it disappears faster than ever. If you're on Social Security or someone you love is a parent, a grandparent, maybe even you, then what we're talking about today hits home. Right now, millions of Americans are asking the same question in kitchens, living rooms, and pharmacy lines across the country. How are we supposed to keep up? Rent is up, food is up, utilities are up, medications cost more every refill. And Social Security checks? They feel stretched thinner than they've ever been. So when people started hearing whispers about a possible $200 monthly boost, the reaction was instant. Hope, confusion, skepticism, and one big question echoing everywhere. Is this real? And if it is, does it include me? Because let's be honest, $200 a month isn't pocket change when you're budgeting carefully. That's groceries for the week. That's gas. That's part of an electric bill. That's medication you've been rationing because the copay keeps rising. For many families, that amount could be the difference between stress and breathing room. And here's the emotional truth. Social Security isn't a bonus. It's not a handout. It's money you earned through decades of work, payroll taxes, and sacrifice. So when talk begins about changes, increases, or emergency support, it hits a nerve. It feels personal. But before excitement turns into disappointment, we need to slow down and break this down carefully. What's actually being discussed? Who is it for? Is it happening now? Or is it still just talk? And most importantly, what should you do next to protect your financial future? Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't just about a number. It's about where Social Security is heading and what that means for your life. Where the $200 number is coming from, and why people are talking. Let's address the question everyone is asking, straight up. Where did this $200 monthly idea even come from? Because it didn't appear out of nowhere, and it didn't start as a random rumor on social media. The truth is, this number is being discussed because pressure is building, fast. Lawmakers, advocacy groups, economists, and senior organizations are all sounding alarms about the same issue. Current Social Security benefits are not keeping up with real-life costs. Yes, there are cost of living adjustments. Yes, checks increase from time to time. But here's what many Americans feel in their bones. Those increases often don't match what you're actually paying at the store, at the pump, or at the pharmacy. When food prices jump 20%, but your check barely moves, something doesn't add up. The $200 figure keeps coming up because it represents a meaningful but targeted amount, not a massive overhaul overnight, but enough to provide real relief. Analysts have pointed out that an additional $200 per month could significantly reduce financial strain for lower and middle-income beneficiaries, especially those who rely on Social Security as their primary or only income. Some proposals frame it as a temporary relief measure. Others talk about restructuring benefits or adjusting formulas long-term. Some suggest targeted support for the most vulnerable recipients. And yes, some politicians are floating big ideas because elections, public pressure, and economic anxiety are colliding all at once. But here's the important part. Discussion does not mean approval. Ideas move through stages. Talk turns into proposals. Proposals face resistance. Resistance leads to revisions. And sometimes nothing happens at all. That's why clarity matters so much right now. Social media headlines often skip that nuance. They jump straight to excitement or outrage, leaving viewers confused and emotionally whiplashed. And that's dangerous, especially when people are already struggling. So if you've seen posts claiming everyone is getting $200 starting now, take a breath. The real story is more complicated, but also more important. Because even if this specific number doesn't become reality tomorrow, the fact that it's being seriously discussed tells us something bigger is happening. And that bigger shift could affect your future checks more than you realize. Why Social Security feels broken for so many Americans. Let's talk about the feeling, that deep, nagging frustration that so many Americans on Social Security share but rarely see acknowledged. It's the feeling that the system you paid into your entire life isn't working the way it was supposed to. For decades, Social Security was meant to provide stability, predictability, peace of mind. You worked hard, you paid in, and when retirement or disability came, you wouldn't fall through the cracks. But today, that promise feels shaky for millions of people. Here's why. Social Security benefits were never designed for an economy where housing, healthcare, and food rise faster than wages. They were built for a different era. And while adjustments have been made over the years, they often lag behind reality. If you're watching this, you probably know exactly what I mean. Maybe your rent went up, but your check didn't. Maybe your Medicare premiums rose, quietly eating into your benefit. Maybe groceries that used to cost $80 now cost $120, with no warning and no mercy. And the most painful part? You can't just work more hours to make up the difference. Many beneficiaries are retired, disabled, or caring for family. The safety net is supposed to catch you, not leave you dangling. That's why even the idea of $200 more per month feels powerful. It's not luxury, it's dignity, it's breathing room. It's not having to choose between medication and food. This is also why pressure on lawmakers is intensifying. Voters are vocal, advocacy groups are louder, and the numbers don't lie. More Americans are relying on Social Security as their main income source than ever before. So when you hear debates about benefit increases, trust this. It's not random. It's a response to a system under strain and a population demanding to be heard. And that brings us to the next critical question. Who would actually qualify if changes happen? Would everyone really get it, or only some people? This is where excitement often turns into confusion, and confusion can turn into disappointment if we're not careful. Because the phrase, everyone on Social Security, sounds simple. But in reality, Social Security covers many different groups. There are retirees, there are people receiving disability benefits, there are survivors, there are spouses, and within each group, Income levels, ages, and circumstances vary widely. Historically, when benefit increases or supplemental payments are discussed, they are rarely universal in the way headlines suggest. Often, they're targeted. Sometimes they focus on the lowest income recipients. Sometimes they prioritize people facing the highest medical costs. Other times, they apply only to certain benefit categories. That's not to crush hope. It's to explain reality. If a $200 increase were ever approved, it would likely come with rules, caps, phase-ins, eligibility requirements. That's how policy works. And here's where staying informed matters. Because misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially when people are desperate for good news. No one wants to be the person who planned their budget around a promise that never materialized. The smartest move right now isn't celebration or panic, it's awareness. Understanding how the system works puts you in control, and knowing what's being discussed helps you advocate for yourself and your family. This isn't about blind optimism, it's about being prepared. Why timing matters more than the amount. Here's something most headlines won't tell you. Timing is everything. Even if a proposal sounds generous, when it happens, can matter more than how much it promises. A $200 increase next year is very different from one that starts now. A temporary boost is different from a permanent change, and one-time relief doesn't fix long-term problems. Many Americans have been burned before by announcements that sounded immediate but took years to implement, if they happened at all. That's why skepticism is healthy. Right now, the conversation around Social Security is tied to bigger economic forces: inflation, budget debates, demographic shifts, and political pressure. Nothing moves in isolation. Understanding that helps you stay grounded and ready. The political reality. No one likes to talk about Social Security as powerful and politically sensitive. Any change affects millions of voters. That means debates can get loud, emotional, and slow. Promises are made, opponents push back, compromises shrink proposals. That's the reality. But here's the upside. Social Security remains one of the most protected programs in America. Touching it carelessly is politically dangerous. That means pressure works. Voices matter. When Americans speak up, the conversation changes. What you should and should not do right now. Do not panic. Do not assume money is coming tomorrow. And absolutely do not make financial decisions based on headlines alone. What you should do is stay informed, verify sources, and plan conservatively. If changes come, you'll be ready. If they don't, you won't be caught off guard. Knowledge is protection. Why this conversation isn't going away. Even if this specific $200 idea fades, the issue behind it won't. Costs are rising, Americans are aging, and Social Security is under more scrutiny than ever. That means more proposals are coming, more debates, more chances for real reform, or real disappointment. Staying tuned isn't optional anymore. It's essential. Hope, but with eyes open. Hope isn't naive when it's informed. Wanting better doesn't mean believing everything you hear. Americans deserve stability, and pressure is building to address that truth. Change may be slow, but it's not impossible. The hidden costs eating away at your check every month. Here's something most Americans feel but rarely see explained clearly. It's not just that Social Security checks feel small. It's that invisible costs are quietly shrinking them month after month. And this is where the frustration turns personal. Think about it. You receive your benefit, you check the amount, and on paper it looks the same, or maybe slightly higher than last year. But then reality hits. Medicare premiums are deducted before the money even reaches your account. Prescription copays climb. Property taxes rise. Rent adjustments show up without warning. Suddenly, that check you counted on doesn't stretch nearly as far as you planned. This is why the idea of an extra $200 a month feels so powerful to people. Not because it makes anyone rich, but because it could act as a buffer against these silent deductions. For many households, that amount wouldn't go toward vacations or luxuries. It would go straight to survival expenses. And here's the emotional truth. These costs don't rise evenly. They hit older Americans harder. Healthcare inflation alone has outpaced general inflation for years. That means even when cost of living adjustments happen, they often fail to match the real expenses seniors face. This is the heart of the debate lawmakers are facing. It's not about generosity, it's about reality. If benefits don't reflect actual living costs, then the system slowly breaks trust with the people who rely on it most. That's why conversations around monthly boosts keep resurfacing, not because politicians love spending, but because the pressure from everyday Americans is becoming impossible to ignore. And when enough people feel squeezed at the same time, change becomes unavoidable. But the question remains, what kind of change are we really talking about? Temporary relief versus permanent change. The difference matters. One of the biggest mistakes viewers make is assuming all benefit increases are created equal. They are not. And understanding this difference could protect your wallet more than anything else right now. Temporary relief payments are often used during economic stress. They're designed to calm pressure quickly. They feel good. They make headlines. But they don't fix the foundation. Once they end, the underlying problem returns, often worse than before. Permanent changes, on the other hand, are slower and harder to pass, but far more meaningful. These include adjustments to benefit formulas, inflation calculations, or minimum payment levels. They don't spark immediate excitement, but they reshape your financial future. The $200 monthly idea sits right at this crossroads. Some proposals frame it as a short-term boost. Others hint at deeper reform, and that distinction is crucial. A temporary $200 could help families get through a rough stretch. A permanent adjustment could change retirement planning for an entire generation. This is why discussions behind the scenes matter so much, and why updates happen quietly before they ever reach headlines. By the time something is officially announced, months or even years of debate have already taken place. For viewers like you, the key is understanding where in the process an idea currently sits. Early discussion means uncertainty. Late-stage proposals mean preparation time. Final approvals mean action. Missing that context leads to emotional whiplash, excitement followed by disappointment, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid here. Here's the bottom line. No headline, no politician, and no viral post will protect your financial future on its own. Information does. The goal of videos like this isn't to promise money, it's to give you clarity, context, and control. Because when changes come, and they will, you deserve to understand them before they affect your wallet. Your family depends on stability, your future depends on preparation, and staying informed is the strongest tool you have. This conversation isn't over, it's accelerating, and the people who keep watching, learning, and staying alert are the ones who won't be caught off guard. If this topic matters to you, stay connected. The next update could matter more than you think.